coach.
Nope.
Take less.
I know you're not playing must-win games in February, at least I don't think you are. How important was this game, though?
I don't know if I totally agree with you, John. I know where you're coming from. I do, and it's a must-win game for us. We need to get back on track. It's a must-win game because we play 38, and why wouldn't every game be a must-win game in a college season? I mean, that's the way I look at it. Our program has been in the conversation for 1 year, and that's this year. We're not going to start taking games for granted. Again, I understand your question. To come off what we came off of last weekend, not feeling too good about ourselves, in a situation where we've got a little bit of room in terms of points, okay, with the team, with our opponent over the next 4 games, knowing they're coming off a difficult weekend. There's lots of factors to me that made it a big time game, and what I'll give us credit for is our effort was right, okay. But our execution and some of our players, where their heads were at, was not right. I don't know if there's been a game where we had 8 penalties to kill, plus a 10-minute penalty, a 10-minute misconduct for running your mouth, which had I had my way, I would have sent him off the ice. That is totally and absolutely unacceptable within this program. I have no problem, like a tripping penalty, a roughing penalty, those happen in the heat of the moment. Running your mouth because you don't get your way is what spoiled people do, and we're not operating that way. That's where some of my frustration comes from, is actions like that. But it was I don't want to take away from the fact that we found a way to win the game. I thought we did a nice job in the third period. Adam Burkle made a big time play for the goal. That's really the only play I remember. I'm not sure if there was a play before that led to Adam making that play. And obviously Ben Murphy, what a great effort on our first goal. It obviously wasn't our night offensively. Our power play looked out of sorts. But we found a way.
Is that kind of what you need to do at this point? I mean, after the weekend you've had, just keep finding ways.
Yeah, no, I think you're bang on. Yeah, I mean, last Saturday we felt like we had it figured out. We found a way to have ourselves in a really good position. And then we didn't close the deal, but we needed to find a way. Again, I don't want to take anything away from a victory, because that's a really good team. That team was picked to finish ahead of us. That team was one overtime goal away from going to the Frozen Four last year. That's real. I don't want to take anything away from that. But, again, there's a couple things that stand out in my mind that need to get cleaned up.
You mentioned the power play as that it isn't over, but at the same time, it really looks like you guys made a lot of strides going forward in the game. Not so great in the beginning, but it really seemed to things started to
As the power play went on, yeah, I would agree. I mean, again, what we try to prepare the power play for that first opportunity. You don't have time to give yourself, well, let's have a couple of 3 opportunities to get ourselves into the game. You may only get a couple 3. It's just those are our top players. We need a higher level of execution from the first opportunity we have. That's what I'm talking about. But I agree with you. I think the zone time and the overall execution of the power play without the results got better as the game went on.
You mentioned earlier this week that you think this has become a rivalry. I think, would you agree that tonight was?
I would agree. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. A lot of these kids have played with or against each other growing up, like the Michigan guys and things like that, so that they know. I think it's again, I don't want to put words in their mouth. We look at them as a rival because they're a program we want to be like, based on the results over the last 3 or 4 years. I'm not sure that we're good enough for them to consider us a rival. I don't know. That's something they'd have to answer. But there's some fire out there, and that's one. There's 3 more. Just wait.
You mentioned that the effort was right, but the heads weren't right. Is that an up and down the line kind of indictment?
I feel so that way, John. I mean, I thought, with the exception of Tommy Burke, because he seemed to be on top of it, for the most part. I think we can go down our lineup and say there was situations. I'm not saying from the beginning of the game to the end. There were situations where we just weren't in the moment, just weren't quite right. But the effort was there. That I'll take that right now. The effort will take, because there was other times where the head was right and the execution was right. It was just a little bit inconsistent for me.
So then the frustration, and I don't want to put the words in your mouth, the frustration is then let's have the effort right and let's have the execution right and have it right for 60.
Absolutely, and the frustration comes from 8 penalties. The frustration comes from a freshman taking a 10-minute misconduct for running his mouth. The frustration comes from, you know, a couple plays I'd like to see us make in the last minute. That's where it comes from. Obviously, very, very excited that we won. But, you know, we've got a program to run, and I'm a coach, so the first thing you think about is what can we do better? Without putting a damper on the win, I'm never going to do that because it was a big win for us.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to beat you up on that either. I think what you've done is your program is at a point now where the expectation has to be more than, well, we did enough to win.
I agree. You know, I agree. I agree with that statement.
Good? All right, perfect.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.